Luckily, it was cool enough. It wasn't quite 107.
And if you have cheaper.
Hello, everyone. We're going to get started here in about 5 minutes. Are we ready? Let me just get everybody seated. Hello. Okay. All right, well, everybody please be seated.
Another hug.
All right, good morning. My name's Christine Burr. I am the post commander of VFW Post 10210, and I'd like to welcome you, everyone here today on this 22nd anniversary of the 9/11 attacks, to remember and celebrate all the heroes and pay tribute to the nearly 3,000 people who lost their lives at the World Trade Center, Flight United 93 in that Pennsylvania field, and at the Pentagon. I'd also like to introduce our guest today, a distinguished guest. We have Sebastian Mayor Fred Jones, County Commissioner Joe Fleischer, Councilman Ed Dodd, Sebastian Deputy Chief Greg Witt, Fire Captain Norm Melbiff, and Fire Chief Peter Puzo. Will everyone who is able please stand and remove your hats for the advancement of colors by the Sebastian Area Honor Guard. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the singing of our national anthem by Peter Puzo.
Please join me in honoring our country, our flag, and our fallen heroes. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Honor Guard, please post the colors. I'd like to introduce Michael Bimholtz, who'll be giving our invocation. Rabbi, please.
How often I offer the words of Psalm 133, Hine ma tov u'ma na'im shevet achim gam yachad, and I do it in moments of joy, of how good and pleasant it is that brothers can sit at a table together. And yet here on this September 11th, I say, Hine ma tov u'ma na'im shevet achim gam yachad. How powerful it is on this day of loss and memory in our country, in our world's history, that we can stand here together and offer each other support. We are at the end of our reading of Torah in our cycle in Jewish tradition. We're reading the very end of Deuteronomy, and there's this beautiful moment at the end of Deuteronomy, in Deuteronomy 29, where God says, gather the whole community together and come together in covenant with your God. And it says that, and it says from the oldest of your elders and sages to the wee babies that are with you, from the wood choppers to the water drawers. But then it says something that's important as we are here on September 11th, 2023, looking back at September 11th, 2001. It says, those who are standing here this day and those who are not standing here this day. And our tradition realizes, looking at that it means those who have died and those who are yet to be. As we are here in this place, how many of us remember September 11th, 2001? I remember being there watching the Today Show. Just an innocuous day, my wife and I getting ready to go to school, she going to teach, me going to class. We had a 6-month-old at the time, and we're sitting there watching, and they come on and they're like, oh, something's happened at the World Trade Center. A plane has hit the building, and we're all thinking it's something little. It's the middle of New York, and then we're watching the coverage, and you can't get the size and scope of it. So we have this incredible subway sign just showing the scope that you're watching through our televisions, and we don't even understand the scope of what's going on. And then a second plane hits, and our world just came to a stop. Those of us who witnessed know the weight, the kavod of that day, of the fear, of the horror, of the loss of that day. And yet here we are in 2023, and I mentioned I had a 6-month-old. That 6-month-old is now 22 and off in the world. I have 2 more children. My middle child was born in September of 2022. She's about to turn 21, about to be an adult, fully an adult in our American community. And she was born after September 11th, 2001. Think about that for a minute. Think about how many people are in this world serving as in the armed forces, serving in law enforcement, in first responders that were born after 2001. As we are here in this place, as we share the music and the poetry and the stories, as we feel the weight, how important it is us not just to honor and remember, but think about how we tell the story. How are we telling the generations who were not here that day what that day meant, how it impacted us, and how it inspires and empowers us to continue to make our country this place, the shining beacon of liberty and life and the pursuit of happiness that it is. And as we are here, we also have to remember so much of our community that's not here this day. And as we go forth, as we have this experience, what are we going to carry forth? We are here. Let us hear. Let us take it to heart. Let us be prepared to take what we feel and experience here in this place forward into our world. Amen.
Please be seated. I would like now to introduce our keynote speaker for today, Teresa Betancourt. Mrs. Betancourt is also the VFW Post 10210's auxiliary president.
If I start crying, then you can.
I will come up.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for asking me to speak today. I am not a politician, a firefighter, a police officer, a first responder, and there are no statistics I can recite. My name is Teresa. I am just a girl from Queens, New York, that got so turned around that day, I became a survivor. On September 11th, Lieutenant Robert Wallace had been detailed to Engine Company 226 in Brooklyn's Boerum Hill neighborhood. He responded to the World Trade Center with that unit. While he was not in the immediate company of Engine Company 205 and Ladder 118, with his colleagues when the towers fell. At the same time, amateur photographer Aaron Lamb captured an iconic photo of Ladder 118 as it crossed the Brooklyn Bridge, not knowing that it would be the fire truck's last run. The 8 members of his firehouse, Engine 205 and Ladder 118, made the ultimate sacrifice also. As this was recurring, I was on my way to work. Onlookers gathered out at the city. When I looked, I thought it to be a small plane like the rabbi had said. It was just smoke and the fire looked like it had been put out. The train stopped, preventing anyone from going further into New York City, but since I had to travel to Brooklyn, I hopped the D train. 3 stops later, that train stopped, but I was still in New York City, not Brooklyn. Above ground, what was going on made no sense. My daughters would both be in the city that day. I was 41 years old and had never seen the Twin Towers. So I did what any mother would do. I went above ground and repeatedly tried to use my cell phone. I guess I just walked, not really believing what I was seeing. The world was on fire. It felt like a movie. It was surreal, and my mind couldn't make sense of what was happening. There was this huge building on fire, and I had just walked myself right up to Liberty Avenue and Nassau Street, directly across from Tower 1. I guess shock had already set in because I calmly walked up to the first police officer I saw and asked if he would point me in the direction of the Brooklyn Bridge. I said I would be fine. He did. I turned and took a few steps. It was only seconds when the first tower erupted. Thinking it looked like an ice cream soda spilling over, the tower imploded, crumbling right before me. 2 young men grabbed me and ran. They let go of me for a second when a gentleman fell in front of us, and they righted him by his shirt and the seat of his pants. Then they grabbed back onto me. We ran for what seemed like blocks. Those blocks would turn out to be 1 block. When the bottom of the tower imploded, we were separated by the blast of dust. I was thrown into a glass window, and I could hear voices around me yelling. They were saying to walk the wall of glass. Smoke and debris overtook me. I remember feeling little bits of glass shards and metal hitting me like a prick of a needle. It wasn't the physical feelings as much as what was going through my mind. It felt warm and safe, almost like somebody's arms were being wrapped around me. Then it became thick and harder to breathe. Fright or flight kicked in, and I just repeated to myself out loud, actually, I will not die today, and I will not die this way. In the distance, the voice of a New York City bus driver was calling out. I was covered from head to toe. The seats were material, so I knew it was an express bus. I was able to clean my eyes on the back of the seats. I think about 11 people got on the bus that day. Everyone was talking, but I couldn't quite understand what they were saying or what just happened. The driver was able to get us to the Brooklyn Bridge when the call to abandon the bus came. Halfway over the bridge, I watched the second tower fall. I thought I better walk faster, amongst other things. Then the jets, our jets, I hope. I was intact except for a hole in my jeans where I was hit with pieces of debris. Inside my purse, the glass eye was shattered from the CD player. There was rubble full of my wallet. I was full of rubble. It took about 3 days to get the concrete out of my nose. But what came after was more than nightmare. It took hours before I could enter into my home. My family stood in the street till 11 p.m. that night. Then the news, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Where was Lieutenant Robert Wallace and the others from 118 and 205? We waited. Days turned into weeks, and then their funeral services began. 8 of them, sometimes more than one in a week. There is nothing more heartbreaking than when you see the wall of firefighters, police officers, or first responders with hundreds in attendance. It's a sight that never leaves your mind. The reality is someone you love has now just become the dust on your clothes. My clothes sit in a box. Everyone sees them as artifacts. I see more. I keep them in my life. People I love so maybe I can speak for them. I want to wear the boots I wore that day and keep walking, because when a survivor lives in the memory too long, the pain is forever. So you pray every day for blessings, and sometimes you get a miracle. On this exact day, 4 years later, my husband stood in D.C. ready to return to the U.S. Army. He was 50 years old. I was in awe of his need to serve this country, but my greatest blessing came. My granddaughter Victoria will turn 18 this morning. She restored my faith in people that day she was born. She's the reason I tried to leave no child behind, but that is my war. I am ever so grateful for the firefighters, the police officers, and first responders that saved my life that day. The men in uniform that served this great nation, especially the young soldiers we left back at Walter Reed, who we met and continue to give me hope. My husband and son, who when asked said yes. The veterans that sit here today and everywhere in this nation, those gone but never forgotten. But the civilians that stopped from their own lives that day to protect others, we can never repay that debt. Some of these people are the unsung heroes of New York City, but they live with the fact that they are still alive. Survivors don't have much consolation. The pain never goes away. When you hear the number 911 or a clock timer goes off, it comes flooding right back. I met a man after the attack shortly who gave a lecture at the Guggenheim Museum. He was a survivor of the Kinder train. I asked him, would this ever go away? He answered me gently and said, no, my darling, it will not. So how does one live with the grief that they survived that day and others didn't? The only way I get to protect myself from myself is to give back when I can and with everything I have to give. I am proud today to say today that I am the president of your local VFW auxiliary, and it is because of these veterans and their families and the children in this community that I do what I do. Maybe when we say we will never forget those that we lost, please remember those that made it home still suffer. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. We will now hear a proclamation given by Mayor Fred Jones and the presentation of memorial bouquets.
Thank you. Good morning, Sebastian. How's everyone? I know this is a sad day for us. I remember where I was on that day when it happened, so I'm pretty sure all of us do. But I'm going to read a proclamation that we have prepared for you. On September 11th, 2023, whereas on September 11th, 2001, nearly 3,000 innocent lives of men, women, and children who had been going about their normal routines were taken from us, depriving our families and loved ones of a lifetime of precious moments. And whereas in the years that followed, our capacity to love and to hope has guided us forward as we work to rebuild our nation more sound and resilient than ever before, while standing strong as one people, determined to further embolden our country's character with acts of endurance, strength, renewal, and progress. Whereas the compassion that rose in the hearts and minds of the American people on September 11th still serves as the ultimate rebuke to the evil of those who attacked us. whereas first responders who risked and gave their lives to rescue others demonstrated the unwavering heroism that continues to define our great nation. And whereas we reflect on the lives we lost and pay tribute to the families who still live with extraordinary pain, let us resolve to continue embodying the American spirit that no act of terror can ever extinguish. Now, therefore, I, Fred Jones, by virtue of the authority invested in me as the mayor of the city of Sebastian, Florida, do hereby proclaim September 11th, 2023 as Patriots Day in the city and urge all citizens to observe a moment of silence to honor the innocent victims who perished as a result of the terrorist attacks of September 11th. Thank you.
We will now have the presentation of memorial bouquets and flags. Please stand. Please follow in your brochures on the back as U.S. Army veteran Stephen Betancourt will be giving our 9/11 prayer.
Good morning. Thank you for being here today. Everybody wants to read with me. Powerful God, our refuge, our strength, we turn to you for peace, security, and the recall of the 9/11 attack. We thank you for the bravery and the sacrifice of those who saved lives as firefighters, rescue crews, or people aboard United 93. Comfort, strength the family or friends of those who died. Thank you.
We will now have a moment of silence. You will hear a bell ring 4 times to mark the events of that historic day. 8:46, the North Tower fell. 9:03, the South Tower fell. 9:37, the Pentagon was hit. and 10:03, Flight 93 crashes in Somerset County, Pennsylvania. We will now have Stephen and Teresa lay our wreath.
Your stands are there, right?
Yep. Please allow 3 loud volleys of rifle fire. Rabbi Michael Ben Holtz will now give the benediction.
There are so many incredible sparks of memory. We have this subway sign from that place where so many people just walked by in the course of their everyday, and we see it laying crumpled, broken from the horror of that day. We're here and we heard those beautiful words from Teresa. And I know she doesn't come forward to bring them looking for praise, but just seeking to honor and remember and feel all of those incredible experiences. This is our challenge. As I said, there are so many who were not there that day and who we have to share those memories with. And as we are here, there are so many that are not here. That we have to go, as we move forward from this place, how are we going to take the words, the artifacts, those memories, and carry them forward? In Jewish life, one of the things that you do when you go to a cemetery is you take with you a stone of memory, and you place that stone upon the marker as a way of showing to other people that you have been there, of building up the marker, but also of turning memory into physical action to repair the brokenness of our world, to reach out to somebody who is in pain, to do that act of caring. To me, this is our challenge, not just to stop and observe on September 11th, realizing how many people don't stop and observe on September 11th, but how do we stop and use this observance and turn it into incredible action for taking care of the people around us and the world around us, bringing forward the best values of our country into our reality. Adonai ozli amo yitein Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Very simple words of Psalm. Adonai, eternal one, infinite one, give courage and strength to your people so that we can be blessed with peace. But it's deeper than that. Infinite, eternal one, God, the one we call in each of our own traditions, in each of our own ways, give us courage and strength and patience, not so we look out at a world that is shalom, a place of wholeness and harmony and peace, but give us that energy, give us that will, give us that resilience, give us those connections so that we, even as we look back on this day of brokenness, can find ways from this day, from our brokenness and pain, and bring it forward to make this world a better place, a place of shalom, to make our country great, but to make this world great from this place. As together we say, Amen.
Amen. Can we now have Peter Puzo come up to sing God Bless America?
Again, please join with me. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairie, to the ocean, wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Thank you.
Honor Guard, can we please have the retirement of colors? I'd like to thank everybody for coming today. It was a great day to honor and to hear the stories of the people that were affected that day and still are to this day. Again, thank you. I hope you have a blessed day. And if you are able to, please join us at the VFW for lunch today. Thank you very much. Have a good day.